Hanging hides are really popular with the majority of our snakes, especially our Morelia bredli, our Morelia spilota, and any other semi-arboreal snakes. They're even actually really popular with snakes that you wouldn't necessarily think of as climbers, like our bull snake Rodney loves her elevated hide since we added it to her enclosure. The problem is these are meant to screw into the tops of enclosures like PVC or wood that have solid ceilings. These particular hides are from Reptile Basics, and the hide hangers you can get from Reptile Basics or from Specialty Enclosure Designs, and they're tracks that the hides slide into that bolt or screw into the top of your enclosure. But we have several Zen Habitats, which we really like and the snakes seem to really like. However, the Zen Habitats have a screen top with an optional acrylic covering. And one solution that I had come up with to solve this problem, to provide an elevated hide in a Zen habitat, was to put a shelf inside the habitat and set the hide on top of the shelf. Now, this has worked really well for this particular Morelia bredli. His name is Lorca, and he does use that elevated hide up there on that shelf. It's not a hanging hide, but it's up there pretty close to the ceiling. And then it dawned on me as I was putting together this Zen cube for one of our new baby bredli, that those bars at the top of the Zen Habitats are designed for lizard nets to hang from and designed to hold lamps or lighting and heating fixtures if you put them inside the enclosure instead of setting them on the screen top. So I thought, well, if I just drilled some holes into the sides of the elevated hides and used zip ties or twisty ties or something else, that I could just tie the hide onto those bars that run across the top and underneath the screen of the Zen Habitat. And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. The first thing that I did is I drilled 4 holes into the sides of the hide that I got from Reptile Basics. I figured I would evenly distribute the holes so that once it was hanging, the weight of the snake was evenly distributed along those bars. So I drilled a hole near each corner. Then I decided that I would use twisty ties to hang mine, but you could use something else like zip ties or really anything that would fit through the holes and tie the hide to the bars. I chose to use twisty ties so that it would be easier for me to untwist them and take the hide down if I wanted, because if you use something like zip ties, you would have to cut them. So I've gone ahead and put the twisty ties through the holes that I made in the hide. And now I'm deciding where I want to put it. And what I intend to do first, and this is what I ended up doing, is just loosely securing all 4 corners of the hide onto the metal bars that run across the inside of the Zen Habitat. So here I am twisting it on, and I did not put the twisty tie through the screen at all. So there's no weight on the screen. It's attached to the actual bars that run laterally under the screen inside the Zen Habitat. So here I have it completely up, and now I'm just tightening each of the 4 corners. The more you twist the twisty ties, the tighter it gets. And so once I had it up there, I just went back around to each corner and I twisted the ties a few more times to make sure that it was secure and that it was as tight as I wanted it to be. I didn't really want it to be loose enough so that if the snake started nosing around the top, that they could squeeze between the edges of the hide and the screen, or squeeze between the edges of the hide and the bars. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just adjusting the twisty ties so that that is up there as tightly as I can get it and it's solid. It didn't take long for Bindu, this Morelia bredli, to check out his elevated hide within minutes of me putting him back in his enclosure after I made this improvement. So next, I just have a couple of bonus tips for you guys. One is about how to make a hide with the bottom. And I just take a bowl, like a water dish, and I put a hide inside it. This one that's a coconut hide fits really nicely. And now I have a hide with a bottom. bonus tip number 2 is how I can make several levels out of a hide. And so this is just a regular deli container. I've got damp sphagnum moss in the bottom, and I've cut a hole in the lid to make a nice moss box or a humidity hide. But now I've taken the bottom of a second deli container and I've drilled a hole in the side, and I turn it upside down, and it fits perfectly snugly and well on top of the humid hide I already made. And so now this snake is lucky enough to have a 3-level hide. He has a humid hide in the bottom. He can sit on top of the humid hide inside, on top of the one lid and underneath the other lid, or he can sit completely on the outside on top of the exterior lid.